Michele, and today we're going to make a cherry cake. It's an old-fashioned recipe that my mother used to make all the time. I make it all year long, but today we're going to make a Valentine's Day cherry cake. So I always get all my ingredients measured out. It makes it really easy. And I have a dishwasher, so they could go right in the dishwasher, so I don't have to worry about washing them. I'm going to use a heart-shaped cake pan. Of course, you could use a round cake pan and still decorate it with hearts or Valentine's Day sprinkles or whatever. So it doesn't have to be a Valentine's Day cake pan. We're going to start with 1 3/4 cup or 3/4 cup of butter, melted butter. That would be a stick and a half, and I'm going to pour that in. And then we're going to add sugar, 1 1/2 cups of sugar. And now I'm going to mix this all together so it's nice and fluffy. Because it makes so much noise. So after the butter and the sugar, and I mix that, we're going to add 3/4 cup of sour cream. We're going to add vanilla, a teaspoon of vanilla, and a 1/4 cup of milk. And now I'm going to mix this. Now that I have that mixed, I'm going to add 1 egg and 4 egg whites, a 1/2 cup of cherry juice. I'm using maraschino cherries. I just took the juice right from the jar. And now I'm going to mix that. Okay, you can see it's nice and getting nice and pink. Scrape the sides. I'm going to add 2 1/2 cups of flour and 4 teaspoons of baking powder and a cup of chopped maraschino cherries. I'm just going to scrape the sides. I've sprayed my pan, but I also put parchment paper in. I use parchment paper on everything. It cleans up easy and nothing ever sticks. And so it's a lot better to take the time and do that. Now I'm just going to pour that in. And just spread it evenly in the pan. And now I'm going to put it in the oven. I've preheated my oven to 350. And that should take about 35-40 minutes. We'll check it with a toothpick or a knife and see if it's done. Okay, so while the cake is cooking, we're going to make a buttercream frosting. So I'm going to I always make buttercream frosting just to the thickness or the sweetness that I like. But if you start with 2 sticks of melted butter, and if you're only frosting the top of a cake, you only have to use a stick, but because I'm going to frost the middle of the cake, I'm going to use 2 sticks of butter, and it just has to be softened. Then I'm going to put in 2 cups of confectionery sugar, and we'll start with 2 cups. Like I said, some people like their frosting very thick or thin, so we'll start with 2 cups. I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of the cherry juice. So that's 2 sticks of butter, 2 cups of confectionery sugar, and 1/2 cup of the cherry juice. We're going to mix this up. Just going to stop for a second and scrape the sides. I think I'm going to add just a little more confectionery sugar. It's pretty buttery in taste, so it's pretty fluffy, but if I add another cup of confectionery sugar, it'll be a little stiffer. And I'm going to add just a drop of milk too, because we don't want it too dry. Kind of makes peaks when it's kind of stiff, which that's what you want. You don't want it melting all over the cake. So, and it's to the sweetness I like. If it's not sweet enough for you, you can add more confectionery sugar. If it's a little too sweet, you can add a little more butter, a little milk, and that will stop the sweetness. So there's our frosting, and then we'll frost the cake. Okay, so we took the cake out of the oven, and I let it cool, and then I just took a knife and sliced it completely in the middle. So now we're going to frost it, but make sure it's completely cool before you frost it. I know you're in a hurry to eat it, but the icing will melt all over. I put a little parchment paper just underneath my cake, so once I frost it, I could pull them out, and then I won't have a mess all over the cake dish. So I'm going to put some frosting. And you can make as much frosting as you want. If you really like frosting, double the recipe. So you have lots of it. But see, when the cake's cool, it just spreads so easy and you don't have to worry about any of it melting. I'm going to put the top on. Now, this is the bottom of the cake. I put the top of the cake on the bottom because it's a little rounded. You can, of course, cut it and make it even, but it's just as easy just to flip the cake over, and then you have a nice flat surface. If you want to use a piping bag to decorate this, you would just add a little more confectionery sugar to make the frosting more stiff. I'm not going to decorate it with a piping bag. Like I said, if you wanted to make it a darker red, you could have added more cherry juice or food coloring, so it's your preference. Now you could do the same thing, use this recipe and make heart-shaped cupcakes if you want. And you would do it the same way, the exact same recipe, just pour it in cupcake papers, or if you have heart-shaped cupcake tins. This is fine for now. Okay, so now we have a heart-shaped cake, as you can see. And I guess the best part is decorating. And if the kids want to decorate it, just get some sprinkles. And I have heart-shaped marshmallows here if they want to put something like that on them. And then I think I'm just going to maybe put some sprinkles on it. I guess that's the fun part. You can put a lot of sprinkles on it. There. And you can put some hearts on it too. Of course, the kids, I'm sure, will want to really load it up with candy. But I'll just put a couple on. I think this one's there. And there's your Valentine's Day cherry cake.